The Benjamin Dixon Show is only possible with listener support. Go to www.patreon.com/The BPD Show.
January 6th was the culmination of centuries of coddling white supremacy in this country. It is the apex. It is the apotheosis of everything that they think makes them supreme. But in reality, the rest of the world was looking at those people on January 6th, realizing the scourge that white supremacy has really become in America. Let's discuss that today. Up first, on the clock, with Georgia Ford.
A special House committee has been formed to investigate the attack on the Capitol on January 6th. Their first hearing was Tuesday, and the testimony was both disheartening and very traumatic to hear officers who were less equipped for a battle than those who they were fighting against. I want you guys to take a listen to testimony from Henry Dunn. He's a Black officer who was there that day. Very emotional testimony. Take a listen.
I told them to just leave the Capitol, and in response they yelled, "No, man, this is our house. President Trump invited us here. We're here to stop the steal. Joe Biden is not the president. Nobody voted for Joe Biden. I'm a law enforcement officer, and I do my best to keep politics out of my job." I responded, "Well, I voted for Joe Biden. Does my vote not count?" One woman in a pink MAGA shirt yelled, "You hear that, guys? This nigger voted for Joe Biden." Then the crowd, perhaps around 20 people, joined in screaming, "Boo, fucking nigger." No one had ever called me a nigger while wearing the uniform. Other Black officers shared with me their own stories of racial abuse on January 6th. One officer told me he had never been called a nigger to his face, and that streak ended on January 6th. Another Black officer later told me he had been confronted by insurrectionists in the Capitol who told him, "Put your gun down and we'll show you what kind of nigger you really are." Telling the truth shouldn't be hard. Fighting on January 6th, that was hard. Showing up January 7th, that was hard. The fence came down and still nothing has changed. Everything is different, but nothing has changed. Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger are being lauded as courageous heroes. And while I agree with that notion, why? Because they told the truth? Why is telling the truth hard? I guess in this America, it is. We would do January 6th all over again. We wouldn't stay home because we knew it was going to happen.
Ben, Dr. Mack, this was the first hearing that they had within the special House committee that this testimony came from. What are your thoughts on what Henry Dunn had to say?
It's about as real of a testimony, congressional testimony, as I've ever heard. To be able to, and you could just feel that when he stated what was shouted to him, the disrespect, and again, to talk about that disrespect being while he's in uniform, for him to address them to say, when they say nobody voted for Biden, for him to say, well, I voted. But for him to echo the sentiments of what they said, it was shocking that it was in the halls of Congress. And it was shocking because I cannot believe that he had the moral courage to say exactly what was stated, because that gives those members in Congress some idea. It should give them a very chilling idea of just how nefarious this insurrection and these individuals were. I simply applaud that brother for speaking truth to power. I mean, I'm humbled by that testimony.
Yeah. I'm thinking the testimony and Brother Mack, as you're alluding to, not only his testimony there on the floor, but also the testimony that he gave during the event of January 6th. The fact that he told them, they said that Donald Trump won. He said, well, I voted for Joe Biden. Doesn't my vote count?
Yes.
And instead of answering that question directly, which would be, yes, your vote counts, they instead turned to their violence. They turned to their bigotry. They turned away from the inconvenient truth that more people voted against their Führer than voted for him. And so instead of confronting that reality, they turn to their bigotry and violence. Isn't that the pattern of white supremacy throughout history?
Very much so. Very much so. You couldn't have put it any better.
And, you know, the thing that crosses my mind, I know that we were having some off-air conversation about Henry Dunn's use of the N-word. Some people feeling that even in replays, maybe it's too much. There's a part of me that feels it's necessary for Americans to understand that here we are in 2021, and we still have people who are out here calling Black folks that word to their face in a very hateful and violent manner. What are your thoughts on the use of the N-word? Do you think it's something that, you know, maybe as media, national media outlets are going to be replaying this clip today, should they be bleeping that out to be respectful? Or do you think that that soundbite needs to be heard in its entirety so that people can feel it?
First and foremost, America invented the word nigger. They invented that word to be derogatory, to be insulting, to be dehumanizing. They invented the word. And so now to play it absolutely places in America's consciousness exactly just part of our experience in this country. So when we want to talk about the critical race theory, we want to talk about teaching Americans history, that's part of America. You invented that word. You absolutely invented that word. And so now you seem to have a problem hearing it, but you had no problem inventing it. You have no problem saying it. But when it's placed out in front of God and everybody, now all of a sudden you have a problem with it. I absolutely believe, because again, it shows, as Brother Dixon said, it just shows the bigotry of what they would do when placed on a fair field of an election and they lose that election. They are now going to turn to that bigotry. Yeah, every vote counted, but nigga, your vote didn't count. Yes, play the word. Absolutely play, not play. Now, if he had to describe himself in such a manner, I'd be problematic with it. But he's simply telling you, he's testifying of what his experience was on January 6th. And that should place in the minds of every American that's listening to it. No, they didn't come down there in a peaceful manner. They came down there in a racist, bigotry, violent manner. So yes, play the word. America, listen to it. That's what you invented. That's what you created. That's what you all about.
Ben?
Church said amen. I come from a different perspective, but I completely agree with Brother Mac. My perspective is one of maintaining the platform that we're building here, and the kind of strikes that we get, not only from YouTube or even from iTunes, the podcast version. We'll get that explicit label put right on us. So I'm taking those things in consideration in terms of our platform. But I absolutely agree with Brother Mac in the sense of there's something about it when you hear it in the context of their full-throated bigotry, their full empowered bigotry. That thing hits you a little differently. If I could, I wish we could mute it in the ears of Black people, because we felt that impact all of our lives every time we got called that word. I remember the first time I got called that word. And perhaps the absolute right thing and proper thing to do is to allow white America, for you to feel for a hot second what it is like to be jarred into the reality that in this country, Black folks have been referred to that so much so. Yeah, I know it's a different iteration of the word, but on my birth certificate, I was born in 1980. On my birth certificate, it says Negro. Come on. This is so deeply rooted in this country, and the variations and the iterations of that word have been used at all times as a categorization of whiteness looking down upon our Blackness.
But, listen, Ben, even if you're going to discuss a solution, You cannot discuss the solution until you get to the quintessential reasoning for the problem. And so for YouTube or anybody else to go, no, we don't want to hear that. No, this is my experience. So you don't want to hear me, but you want to claim that you down with diversity, you down with trying to make a change? Then come to the stark reality of this is the way, this is our experience every day. You're uncomfortable for a second. You're uncomfortable for the short time frame that you have to hear the word. Try living it. Try living not only in that word, but try living and being treated that way, which again is why I say, not only do I condemn the word when it's being used by white folks and their bigotry, but I absolutely bring the same type of condemnation against black folks when we try to dress it up and use it as a term of endearment. There's nothing endearing about the word. It was invented to dehumanize, to insult, degrade us as a people. So yes.
Yeah, and Ben, to your point, I think we could do a whole episode on censorship.
No, I was going to say we could do a whole episode on the N-word.
Yeah, well, and that too, right? But the way these social media platforms have put a stronghold on Black creators, limiting the things that we're able to do, shadow banning us, turning monetization features off. And so it's really unfortunate that you can't be authentic and real without being censored to some degree. But I know that is a true experience, having had those experiences myself. The one thing that, bringing it back to January 6th, you guys, I keep thinking about is the fact that we've seen more than 540 people charged for what they did on January 6th. What are your thoughts on the fact that out of those 540 people charged, no one has been charged in the deaths of the 5 people who were killed?
It harkens me back to the 16th Street bombing, if you will, right? When that bombing took place, how long did it take before justice was rendered against Dynamite Bob, who set that bomb in 1963? It takes me back to the murders of the 3 civil rights workers in Mississippi in 1964. The final guy who got accused, who got found guilty, he was 80 years old, Edgar Ray Killen. He was 80 years old the time he was convicted. So in the words of Dr. King, justice delayed is justice denied. So the fact that, history will clearly show us, and even when you go back to these cases, the civil rights cases, in Mississippi, in the case of the 3 civil rights workers, they had 400 U.S. Navy sailors. They had local and state authorities looking for these bodies. And when they finally found them, and with FBI investigation, with all the evidence they had, the state of Mississippi absolutely refused to try these 21 men for those murders. This is exactly what we're seeing now. They want to change the narrative. They want to say it wasn't treason. Again, you don't even have to imagine if that had been Black folks attacking the Capitol in that manner. We would have never faced trial because, trust and believe, as Brother Ben said, they wouldn't have thrown the book at us. They would have thrown bullets at us. Make no mistake about it. So the fact that over 500 people committed treason, attacked democracy, and nobody is found guilty. And the one person, that we did talk about here, you get 8 months for that? Hey, welcome to white privilege. White America, that's what we're talking about. This is white privilege at its finest, on display for all of America, for all of the world to see. When the world trying to understand what is that Black folks mean when they say white privilege, this is a quintessential example of it.
That's right. That's right. And really briefly, Georgia, I'm looking in real time at them sever any questions of causality from the deaths of those 5 people and the actions of the insurrectionists. I mean, in so many cases, we've seen Black people who are just in the proximity of a crime get tried, right? How many people do we know that are in jail right now who were just in the vicinity of a crime get charged because the laws allow for that. But in this case, we see that they have completely severed the fact that the officer who died, the Capitol police officer who died a few days after the insurrection, he died of a stroke. But nobody wants to connect the dots to say that his death was a direct result of their actions. How do you get away with that? White privilege. That's how you get away with it.
But Ben, not only their actions, Brother Dunn, the officer, the black officer stated, he said, look, if you hire somebody for murder and you find the hitman, he's not the only one guilty. You got to also convict the person who hired him. And there is no doubt who hired these insurrectionists. They had his name plastered all over their banners. Trump, Trump. So again, when you look at that, when it's all of a sudden we're trying to figure out who caused this, there is no figuring out who caused this. You absolutely know who caused this. And I also like the testimony of the officer, I think it was Michael Fanon. And what I loved about his testimony is that by the time these officers had given their experience, their account of what it was like to be in their shoes, and again, these congressional members always want to talk about how heroic those men and women in uniform are, be them serving in war or protected, how proud they are and how heroic they are. And Michael Fanon, I love what he said. He absolutely condemned any congressional member who would try to look at this other than the evilness and the attack on democracy that it was.
Absolutely. Well, you guys, I want to pivot here. Simone Biles announced that she's going to be pulling out of the gymnastic finals. I know a lot of us have been watching the Olympics and enjoying them. Some folks feel very strongly about the fact that she's stepping away. She cited mental health reasons, that she wants to be able to take care of herself, very similar to the decision we saw Naomi Osaka make when she decided to pull out the French Open for mental health reasons. And it frustrates me that when you have Black women who are making a decision to prioritize their mental health, and let's be clear, if you're not in a Black body and performing on an international stage, you have absolutely no idea the pressure that these women face, the anxiety that they are dealing with on a day-to-day basis, the microaggressions that they have to endure and being in these very white dominant spaces. Okay. And so it's very real when you have a Black woman who someone like Simone Biles has excelled and has achieved so much. She's making a huge professional sacrifice, and a person does not make those decisions lightly in order to prioritize her mental health. And in the same way that we saw Naomi attacked for her decision, we're seeing some similar backlash. I want you guys to listen to this clip from Charlie Kirk and hear what he had to say about her decision.
So Simone Biles, who's obviously a very talented gymnast, decided not to compete in the gold medal competition. Now, she probably could have just competed and just kind of checked the boxes and they would have got a gold medal. Simone Biles says, this Olympic Games, I wanted to be for myself when I came in, and I felt like I was still doing it for other people, as she cried after the team event on Tuesday. So that just, it like hurts my heart because doing what I love has been kind of taken away from me to please other people. Yeah, that's the point, Simone Biles. You're representing your nation, you're selfish sociopath. You kidding me? Today it's like, you know what? I'm not going to do something stupid and get hurt. It's just not worth it. Especially when you have like three amazing athletes that can step up to the plate and do it. So you know who has the gold medal? Russia. Russia. I have to go look at these 4'11" Russian Olympians chewing on their gold medals, smirking at the Americans. I'm not okay with that. But honestly, that's where we're headed. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. Again, if you want to be, if she got all these mental health problems, don't show up. She's an incredible athlete. Of course she's an incredible athlete. I'm not saying, I just said she's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish, she's immature, and she is a shame to the country. She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath. Andrew said she's not a sociopath. What kind of person skips the gold medal match? Who does that? It's a shame to the nation. You just gave a gift to the Russians. Don't show up. If you're not ready for the big time, we got thousands of young female gymnasts that would love to take the place. Thousands. Simone Biles just showed the rest of the nation that when things get tough, you shatter into a million pieces.
Charlie Kirk, you are a shame.
Keep him on the screen, please. But keep that white boy on the screen at all times.
He is a shame.
This conversation.
He is a shame. He is a shame to our nation. Simone Biles, I think that she did something that's very brave. Most people don't have the courage to admit that they are struggling mentally. That is a very hard thing to express openly. And a lot of people who do have mental health issues, they hide behind other things and they're not transparent about what they're going through. And the fact that you have someone like Charlie Kirk who's sitting here being a bully. And for me, I look at him and I think he does this for ratings. I think he does it for the clicks and the shares or whatever. But it is people like him that is fueling the silos that we have in our nation right now. It's people like him who are causing our communities to be racially polarized.
You know, Georgia, it takes me back to June 22nd, 1938, Yankee Stadium. On that day, the Brown bomber, Joe Louis, was about to fight Max Schmeling for the second time. Because in that first fight, Schmeling beat him. And when I tell you, all of America, and no one has to imagine what it was like for black folks in 1938. But I'm telling you that the president of the United States, J. Edgar Hoover, was in attendance. That's how bad, when he talks about this national pride, that's how much national pride was in that fight, that they needed Joe Louis. I mean, the president himself came up to Joe Louis and said, Joe, we absolutely need you to beat this German, Max Schmeling. That's all they care about. That's all they care about. So now Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs ever. Many of us know that if Barry had to continue playing, he would have set NFL record for yardage way beyond. But Barry was looking out for his own personal health. And now you stated something, Georgia, about when black women bring this out. Naomi brings it out. Simone brings it out. But you watch where the attention towards mental health in athletic goes. They're going to go to Michael Phelps. That's because, and to his point, Phelps has been very sympathetic to what Simone has gone through. And he talked about his own mental challenges that he's still dealing with today. But the fact that they're going to go to him to get this narrative and now all of a sudden become sympathetic. So I would love if this white boy, Kurt, was sitting in front of Michael Phelps and calling the sister a sociopath because of the level of anxiety or the level of competition she was in. I can guarantee you, this player here probably ain't even won a city title, let alone being the world's greatest gymnast in the case of Simone Biles. But it's par for the course for America.
Brother Mac is certainly far more distinguished in his response to this white boy than I'd expected. We'll save it for the after party. All the rest of the adjectives that we have for this lump of clay, barely sentient lump of clay, who decided to put his mouth on our young black sister. Charlie, you have nothing about you that gives you any distinguishing accomplishment to suggest that you have the right to fix your mouth to talk about somebody as distinguished as Simone Biles. What's on your resume? Kissing ass?
Right.
That's it. So how do your entire organization, Talking Points, what is it, Turning Points, whatever it is, it's literally funded by you kissing the ass of millionaires, or rather billionaires, to go to college campuses to rally up a bunch of incel, angry privileged white boys and gather them all together to explain why they can't get no. That's your audience. I know you well, Charlie. All right, so let's not pretend as though you're qualified to be on the national stage yourself. So I would suggest that you back away from the big kids table, or rather from the big boys table, or rather even more precise, from Simone Biles' table, black women's table. You have no standing at the table of black women.
No,
man,
and look, listen, I'm trying to remember. Was it Megyn Kelly who was it? Who was the
Megyn Kelly?
That said, shut up and bounce the ball, right? So now here this fool is, just shut up and do the flip. You can't even carry her jock, player.
Come on, man.
I need to be in the after party right now.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, I think that we're seeing this pattern, though, of the harm and the violence that the white community continues to project on, especially black women, right? And it can be subtle at times, it can be passive at times, but these are the small nuances, the attacks on people in the black community. And so, I want to say something to allies. There are a lot of allies who have friends like Megyn Kelly and Charlie Kirk, and you guys you hang out on the weekend, go to your cabins, hit the lake, whatever. You guys need to speak up. You need to start to denounce the rhetoric before it even gets to the internet. And to me, it's disheartening. You have someone like Simone Biles, who is very accomplished, beautiful, talented, and for him to even insinuate that he could put other people, that other people could take her place. Yes, I have some things to say in the after party too.
And Georgia, trust and believe this.
I'm trying to tiptoe and be nice and be professional.
We're trying our best.
But check this out. All those other little girls that he's talking about, those thousands of others. Hey, Charlie, they didn't make the cut, player. They didn't even make the cut. And trust and believe, had the team been comprised of all those 1,000 little girls, you'd have been lucky. You wouldn't have even got the silver medal, okay? And Russia, you still be looking down on them. But again, this is that Cold War mentality. Don't care nothing about the soul of the sister. All I care about is this nationalism. And if you want to call her a coward because she didn't compete fairly, what would you call those 500 plus insurrectionists that broke in when they lost the election? What do you call them, Charlie?
That's right.
Let me hear that. Let me hear that commentary there, since we want to talk about winning and losing. What do you call your little 500 brothers and sisters, your cousins, your stepchildren? What do you call them for what they did on
sociopaths? Real sociopaths.
Here's the gag.
Sociopaths, treasons, call it whatever you want. Now, Charlie, like Brother Ben said, player, you're not qualified to sit at the table to talk about black women as accomplished as Simone. But now go in there and talk about your own. Let me hear the commentary about them 500 on January 6th. Let's hear that.
No, his commentary is the ass-kissing commentary. Like, I'm sorry. Listen, I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave him alone, and we'll save a little bit more for the rest of the day. But the thing about this is that he understands his demographic. He understands his audience. There are so many conservatives who are out there. He is popular now. He is going to be even more popular because he said these horrific things about our young black sister. And that lets you know what the commodity of exchange is for conservatism. And it is the exchange of bigotry and hatred towards blackness. That's how you promote yourself. If you look at anyone who has ascended to the top of conservatism, it has been on the backs and the bones and the blood of black people. And this is what he's doing right now. He's going to get rewarded for this bigotry.
Well, I tell you what, now he may get rewarded from them, but he just put a big target on himself as far as we're concerned. And I'm not talking physical target. I'm talking about being critical of who this fool is. And like you say, if you know that clown the way you know him, man, bring him on.
Do you know how many people in his audience are struggling with mental health issues? Mental health is not something that's exclusive to the black community, okay? We know that just as many, if not more, white folks are dealing with depression, are dealing with bipolar issues. So mental health, it crosses all spectrums. It's not exclusive to poor communities. Affluent people have mental health issues too. So he better be careful there, because he might be, kind of pissing off his own base.
He doesn't. You're absolutely right. But the reason he doesn't care is because they know they will sacrifice the well-being of their community, their mental health. They'll let the police shoot down white folks just so that they can celebrate the hatred and bigotry that they have for black folks. And that's that's the audience that he's catering to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys, we are on the clock. I want to thank you so much for joining us. Stay around for more on The Benjamin Dixon Show.
Welcome back. I wanted to bring into the conversation journalist Mary Poppinfoos. She is a journalist for the Huffington Post, and I want to talk about her article, which intersects, unfortunately, with everything that we're discussing this morning. She's covering the Texas Senate bill that's dropping the teaching requirement that the Ku Klux Klan is, quote unquote, morally wrong. Now, we discussed this on the show this week and a little bit last week. Mary, thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
My pleasure. I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Tell us about your research into it. We've been covering it because of the absurdity of it, right? The suggestion that there is some type of moral equivalence, and therefore we should not discuss the immorality of what was clearly an immoral institution, or is, because it's still with us.
Yeah. It was shocking. Actually, I wasn't the first one who covered it. The Texas papers had the story Friday, and a lot of people talked about white supremacy, and that white supremacy was no longer to be considered, or no longer to be taught, as morally wrong. And I looked at the bill, and I think my story was picked up because I picked up the part about the KKK. I just thought, why not go right to it? Because that's what's at the heart of this bill. And I think there's something so horrifying about the Klan. And to see those, we have these great historical photos of the Klan that I pull out when I can, because I think they just strike terror into everybody's heart. And that's what we're talking about. I mean, our house is on fire. I'm sure this is going on elsewhere, but Texas put it in black and white. And it took me a while. There was an earlier bill that was passed. It was a House bill that was passed. I think the governor signed it in June, and that had the list of the curriculum. And I saw the Senate bill, and I thought, well, where is it? What did they cut? So it took me a while. It took me about a day to compare the two bills. And there's a long list of cuts. I mean, they cut the Emancipation Proclamation. They cut every woman's name out of the required curriculum, every person of color's name. They cut out the entire Native American history. And of course, the most shocking was that, white supremacy, including but not limited to eugenics and the Ku Klux Klan, would not be taught, and it would not be discussed as morally wrong. So this is just like ground zero of what's happening in this country, I think. And they were dumb enough to put it in writing.
Bro, Mac.
So you have to go back and ask the question then, is murder morally wrong? Nobody could argue that. So, from a historical perspective, let's understand when the Klan came into formation. The Civil War is lost, which now, and you go back to January 1st, 1863, when Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. So, yeah, let's strip that as well. But then after the end of the Civil War, April 9th, 1865, now you got the passage of the 13th Amendment on December 6th, 1865. That loss was so devastating that now 6 ex-Confederate officers meet down in Pulaski, Tennessee on Christmas Eve, December 24th, and they find this little group known as the Ku Klux Klan. So now let's come more into modern day, and let's talk about the morality. Just a couple of cases of the morality. behind the Ku Klux Klan. Most of us are familiar with the 16th Street bombing, but I need people to understand how horrific it was. So September 5th, 1963, Addie Mae Collins, a 14-year-old little black girl. Carol Robinson, 14-year-old little black girl. Cynthia Wesley, a 14-year-old little black girl. Carol Denise McNair, an 11-year-old little black girl, died because of a bombing on November 18th, 1977. And if anybody wants to debate the morality of the Klan, just go ask the largest law enforcement investigative source in this country, the FBI, because the FBI has an incredible dossier on what immoral acts were committed by members of the Ku Klux Klan. So on April 18th, 1977, Robert Dynamite Bob Edwards Chambers was a known member of the Ku Klux Klan, and he was convicted of first-degree murder. Now, again, if murder is not a moral issue, then I don't know what is. Now come back to the state of Mississippi, those 3 civil rights workers. We're talking about James Chaney, Andrew Goldman, Michael Shawarner. August 3rd, 1964, there was an informant who was a Mississippi Highway Patrol who's now deceased by the name of Maynard King. He was known as Mr. X to the FBI. He told them, and keep in mind, they had been looking for these civil rights workers for a long time. You had local state authorities. You even had 400 United States sailors looking for these bodies. But on August 3rd, Mr. X tells the FBI where the bodies are located. The next day, they find the bodies of these 3 civil rights workers. November 1964, 21 men, based on this informant's information to the FBI, 21 men are convicted or charged with murder. The state of Mississippi, and knowing they were Klan members, the state of Mississippi refused to bring charges against them. So on October 6, 1967, in a case, United States versus Cecil Price. But who was Cecil Price? Cecil Price was a deputy sheriff in Neshoba County. Yes.
Yep. Yeah, I want to. Let me jump in there and grab it only because we have Mary for a limited amount of time, but I need to couch it in that history, right? So there is a clear historical precedent for the immorality. I mean, the receipts go on and on and on and on, but there's a game that is being played that has very deadly consequences, and it's a game of, are they trying to get away with a whataboutism? Are they trying to say that it's all a wash, or are they simply saying we don't care that you know that the KKK is immoral? We're taking a firm stand on the side of the KKK in your research.
You know, I think they're trying to thread the needle. I mean, outrageously, when some of these politicians were asked about this, they would say, well, we haven't banned the teaching that the KKK is immoral. It's like, oh, okay, then we're all good. Some guy said they wanted to make a manageable list. They wanted to truncate the list a little bit. So they cut out all people of color, all women. And, the one break was given to the white men in white sheets. I mean, it's appalling. Wow. And I got so much hate mail after this story, and people, they called me a liar without pointing out anything, just like it's a lie. So it's if you call the truth a lie. Oh, yeah.
You're saying that you personally received hate mail just for reporting on it, and you weren't the original reporting. You found some subsequent reporting, and because of your subsequent reporting, you got hate mail. Is that correct? Yeah.
I think, I used the Klan in my headline and in my lead, and that just pushed everybody's buttons. I mean, that just woke everybody up, I think. That's why everybody picked up my story, because I put the Klan in the top, and people I've never gotten a hate mail like that since I've been a journalist.
But Mary, I would also say this, that if you take a traditional history book today, and if you just open that history book 10 times, you're going to find exactly what those Texas legislators did. You're going to find, if you open it and you see 10 pictures, 8 to 9 of those pictures are going to be a white man. Very rarely are you going to see women and people of color. So what we're talking about now is revisionism. That is, in its simplest terms, that is what they are doing. To revise history. But you'll never be able to clean this up, which is why it is so important for us as a people to understand our history. And I want to applaud you for being able to put together such an article that strikes the moral consciousness and the nerves of America.
Yeah, because that's what you hit. That's why you got. I want to play because I want to show the tapestry of white supremacy from Brother Anthony Galloway, who coined that phrase. I want to show you all how all of this is connected. There's a clip from Officer, I think you called it Fanon, and he is actually in this clip. He is sharing a voicemail that he got yesterday during his testimony, sharing the truth about what happened on January 6th. And when I heard you, Mary, say that you got that kind of hate mail. Now, I mean, obviously, we know about that hatred. The hatred is nothing new, especially for the black community, but they are so committed. Let's just hear the audio from the voicemail that the testimony got, because as they pull that up, the commitment to this bigotry, the commitment to this white supremacy even goes to the point in your article. I saw them say that that they are not even going to be required to teach Dr. King, I Have a Dream. So it's not only the removal of the immoral reference to the KKK, it's also about revisionism and erasing the contributions of leaders like Dr. King.
Metropolitan police officer, you're on trial right now, lying, and you want an Emmy, an Oscar? What are you trying to go for here? You're so full of shit, you little fat. Yeah, this is from Michael Fanon, Metropolitan police officer. You're on trial right now, lying, and you want an Emmy, an Oscar? What are you trying to go for here? You're so full of shit, you little fat. You're a little man. I can slap you up the side of your head with a backhand and knock you out, you little. You're a punk. You're a lying. How about all that scummy black scum for 2 years, destroying our cities and burning them and stealing all that shit out of the stores and everything? How about that, assaulting cops and killing people? How about that, you that was the goddamn Capitol. I wish they would have killed all you scumbags.
Yeah, let's hold it there, because I think we get the point, and it goes on for another minute or so. They have a vested interest in covering over this type of hatred, but the hatred is boiling underneath. They can't hide this. They, as much as these governors are trying to do away with quote unquote critical race theory, and they're trying to engage in revisionism, Mary, you see this firsthand. We've seen this firsthand, but they can't contain themselves. What do they actually think they're going to accomplish with this legislation when their constituents are out here declaring to the world that they are this bigoted?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a huge dog whistle. We have to, I don't know where we're going. It's scary. I just feel like we're at a crisis right now. And is that dog whistle going to connect with more people than it's going to enrage? I don't know. I don't know about Americans anymore. It's really appalling. And, the response I got, I mean, a lot of people talk to me too. It's like, well, this isn't banned, right? It's not like banned to mention Martin Luther King Jr.'s name in a classroom. And again, I said, no, it's not banned. Teachers yet aren't going to be fined or sent to prison for mentioning Martin Luther King, but that's the road we're on. I mean, it's no longer in the curriculum. What's possibly the most important speech in the entire civil rights movement is no longer required to be taught. It's shocking. I mean, thank God some people aren't so clever or crafty, and they put this in writing so we can see it.
So Mary, let me ask this question. Prior to this article and you receiving, was this an eye-opening look inside of the hatred of America for you, given the responses that you've received as a result of this article?
It's always affected me. And I think, you mentioned Fanon, but I thought Harry Dunn, his testimony yesterday was just heartbreaking. He seems like the perfect cop. I've read about his interviews in the past where he's, he poses with people in the community, and that's just heartbreaking. But I think what was really chilling was the Klan. I mean, how low can you go? To me, that's like that's like Adolf Hitler. Where do you go? Below the Klan, where do you go? There's nothing more horrifying, I think, in American history. They're American terrorists, and they're racist American terrorists. And somehow they've been elevated.
But my question to you is, did this, I get the impact, but what did this do for you now all of a sudden to push America's button and to receive the type of backlash? Yeah. Was it a revelation to you? I get that you've seen some of the things, but now this is directly aimed at you. So how was it for you to see it from that viewpoint?
Yeah, it was. It was unique. So it was eye-opening in that point of view. I think, people just shutting it out was upsetting. The fact that people don't think this is bad enough, because it's not banned. It's like, okay, where do you draw the line? I think this is a place to draw the line. I think the words Ku Klux Klan, rang a bell with me. I've never seen any kind of defense of the Ku Klux Klan in legislation that I've read, and that was definitely a defense. However, it wasn't saying the Klan is great, but that was the message. The message was it's morally ambiguous. That was the message, which is horrifying.
In comparison to the amount of hate mail that you get, how would you compare that to the amount of supportive letters that you may have received?
Well, there was a great response on Twitter. So that was, everybody picked the story up, which to me is affirmation of it. I was attacked by Fox and some other kind of rando cyber thing in Fox. It was like, Fox attacks me, it's a badge of courage. So I appreciate that.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
And lots of people picked it up and it got out there. So I thought that was great. And it's interesting how you frame the argument, because other people had talked about white supremacy, but the Klan just rang everybody's bell. So what I worry about is people get used to it. They say, oh yeah, the Klan. Well, we just read about them last week. Big deal. So people start to get
That is the terrifying notion.
Mary, one of the things I've echoed over and over again is that we need to change our focus from looking to those in sheets as the ones that are dangerous and begin to look at those in suits as the ones that are even more dangerous.
Yeah, that's for sure.
That's absolutely
the enablers
right.
are the worst. The people who enable because they know better. They're not the total lunatics. So.
And so, Mary, was it also
come off with the appearance? We're gonna have to hold it there, Brother Mac. Sister Mary, popping for us. We want to get you back as you continue to bring highlight these type of situations. I am fascinated with that specific fact, though, that despite all the different parts of this that are inflaming and inflammatory and infuriating, it was when we called a thing a thing. When you said it was the Ku Klux Klan that was at question in this legislation that triggered such a repulsive response. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, and keep up the good fight.
Absolutely, will do. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to switch it over to Like It or Not. We have a lot of videos to cover. Brother Mac, if you don't mind hanging out with us for a bit more, we got some clips. We got a few miles to go. We'll be right back after this.
So goodbye, my love. Already found someone that I'm thinking of, and I lose myself again to someone who's got the
I want to jump right back into the clip that we did not even get a chance to play the full thing of. I want both of y'all to hear this so we can actually respond. I love the way the show funnels down. I don't know if anybody's been paying attention, but we start off extremely professional. We start off. And then we come down a little bit. Then about 9 o'clock we come down. But by the time we get to the after party, we're telling y'all what we really, really, really think. I think that part might actually come now because of how wild these people are really acting with our lives, with our sisters, what they said about Simone Biles. I mean, that thing really bothered me. And to hear how venomous they are when confronted with the truth, right? The truth that we have around us right now is that there is a system of white supremacy that is so committed to their bigotry that they will burn this country to the ground. And when confronted with that, they do stuff like they did to Officer Michael Fanone as he gave his testimony yesterday. This is the voicemail that was left for him because they could not stand the truth of his testimony. Let's take a listen in again.
For 2 years, destroying our cities and burning them and stealing all that shit out of the stores and everything. How about that, assaulting cops and killing people? How about that, you that was the goddamn Capitol. I wish they would have killed all you scumbags, because you people are scum. They stole the election from Trump, and you know that, you scumbags. And you, too bad they didn't beat the shit out of you more. You're a piece of shit. You're a little you scumbag.
It was important for you. You did not want us to censor that. What do you say to that? What do you want people to know? And that idiot.
I mean, I remember like my first reaction immediately after listening to that phone call, which I actually received while I was testifying in the hearing today. This is what happens to people that tell the truth in Trump's America.
Yep. Thing is, though, James and Bro Mac, this been happening to black folks even when we weren't telling the truth, but especially when we told the truth. And Bro Mac, I appreciate the question that you had for Mary in the last hour, because the real truth that I wanted to hear from her, that I was fascinated by, was how did it impact you? Yes. And were you taken aback by this? Because let us tell you, this is every day in America.
See, I'll put it this way, Ben. In effect, her writing that article and labeling the KKK, as a journalist, that was her journalistic George Floyd moment for her. When the murder of George Floyd was so shocking to so many other, to the rest of America. I mean, it was shocking to all of us, but it was something that we've seen time and time again. That was her moment right there. But, there is a word that should absolutely be associated with America today, and that word is denial. Now, we hear the word denial a lot, but just think about the definition. It is a declaration that what is true is not true. That is what the word denial is. And that is what Fanone just said, that this country is in absolute denial to hear the ugliness of Trump's America. You know what? I'm not even going to call it negative 45's America. That's because right. America's been ugly like this for a long time, long before him. But denial is the word.
I was just about to say, we can't call it, this is not Trump's America, this is America. Y'all, that's right. This is not surprising at all. This is stuff it's just now here without the hoods on. That's all it is.
Like I said,
yep, exactly. And this, I'm not surprised at all. Hearing those comments, I'm like, I find it funny, honestly, for the simple fact that people get voicemails like this all the time. Ben, you and Rebecca got one like this from years back. It makes these people are just delusional and stupid. That's all. They're Fox News viewers. They don't have anything else to do with their time. They don't work. They're drunk. That's it. And they're hicks that stay in the country. Period. Simple as that.
But I don't think DJ. I don't want to dismiss them as hicks. They are very thoughtful and strategic in how they drum up this hate. Very thoughtful, very creative in how they do it. And they know that it does not need much. When you got an explosive reaction, all you need is a catalyst for it. And they're simply being that creative catalyst to keep this type of nonsense going over and over again. But if there's one piece of positive that Brother Fanone is bringing out, as a white police officer, he's now showing all of America, but more importantly, he's showing folks in uniform that you step the wrong way and you will receive this exact type of hatred from folks that look just like you. That Sister Mary who was on there, she don't look like us. But the moment that she begins to speak truth to power, they send that hatred after her. Even when you go back, now that we're in the Olympic season, you go back to 1968. when those brothers stood on that platform in Mexico City and raised that fist. The president of that university stood in support of them. And the amount of hate mail that he received for standing in support of those two brothers, this is what America does. And this is why we have to continue on this show, Brother DJ, Brother Ben, to have that courageous conversation. Bring your nonsense on. We ain't not running from that, players. Come on. Like it or not. Like it or not.
At all. That's the thing about this, though, is that they are so confident in their bigotry, and they're confident in their mediocrity. They really they don't even realize what it took to survive their ignorance. Really kind of made us all masterminds. I mean, when we're thinking of a master plan, because we had to as black people, right, to survive white supremacy, to survive capitalism. And so the physical strength, the intellectual strength, the moral strength of black people who choose to tap into it, because not all of us do, right? It does give us an advantage that they should be concerned about. But the thing is, Doc, all we're asking for in this country is equality. And you would think that we were trying to come after them. And because to them, they've shown us every single day that the game is up, the jig is up. They know that equality does mean that they have to relinquish some of their power. That's what they fear.
But Ben, here's the other thing I want to talk about. When we talk about the creativity of their efforts, I want to take this to those, as I said, the most dangerous individuals in the arena of moving towards progress are the so-called liberals. Now, even on a show like this, see, when we began to talk about our truth and our experience, look at these social media owners like YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and the likes. If we began to speak too much truth to power, now they find their subtle ways to go, well, we have to censor. They don't want to say the word censor, but they want to talk about protecting the community. This is a way of shutting us down. If you want to know my experience as a black man, don't think that I'm going to serve this up to you in some pleasant kind of way, because for us as black men, this is not our reality. Our reality is not told in a way that makes you feel comfortable. This is what we deal with. So for those organizations, the same way, when we began to speak truth, all of a sudden now they want to take the Ben Dixon show down for a week. Because of what? Because we spoke our truth? Get the fuck out of here.
Facts.
I believe myself there, Ben, like it or not.
Man, I'm just, we fighting on a lot of fronts. We are fighting on a lot of fronts.
But we built for it. We built for it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. See, that's why I was going to take the long way around to say that y'all messed around and made a resilient people. We were already resilient before you snatched us. That's how we survived you. Y'all don't think you think black people who are the descendants of enslaved Africans, people who survived. I mean, Brother Mac, you actually could tell this better than me. The vantage point of Frederick Douglass or Harriet Tubman in the stuff when people say we are not our ancestors, you're damn right. We couldn't. I don't know that we could stand in comparison to the kind of fear that they had to bottle up and stand and look at a nation that would just as soon lynch them and declare all the things that they said in their time, the historical power of our narrative. I think white supremacy should be afraid.
But see, listen, even when you go back to the aftermath of World War II, think about the number of black soldiers who were absolutely lynched and killed while in uniform. Or when some of those soldiers talk about when they had prisoners of war, that they could go to a restaurant and they would treat the prisoners of wars better than they would U.S. soldiers, black U.S. soldiers in uniform. Now think about that was it Dylan Roth? The guy who goes down there, the white supremacist, shooting everybody? Yeah. Well, yeah. Dylan, are you hungry? Let's stop by and get you something to eat. This is the way America plays. This is the way she plays. But the one thing about fighting, Ben, fighting, and Brother DJ, fighting takes on two levels. You can either be on the offensive fighting or you could be on the defense. And too many times we find ourselves on the defense of it. Oh, the hell to the no with that, players. Let's take this fight to the offense. Let's begin to inflict our force on these fools. And that force is going to be wrapped in truth. So just like Ben, when you said the other day of this person you showed a videotape of, and he's talking about gathering the guns up and let's meet at Gettysburg. Let's have a reenactment of Gettysburg. And you said, no, player, we're not going to meet you on that battlefield. We're going to meet you on the battlefields of Congress and the lawmaking issue of it. So that's what we have to take our fight from being on the defense and always answering their rhetoric to going to the offense and bringing our truth and our situation to this fight.
That's right. That's right. That's right. Here's a comment. James, you see that comment in the Slack? I can't read these social media names. Y'all make me feel like I'm a
Zivis X, I have a serious question for the panel. How do we stay nonviolent in the face of all of this? As an ally, I want to react, but controlling the anger. Zivis X, welcome to our world.
Listen, far be it for any of us to promote violence, but please understand, since we invoked the name of Brother Frederick Douglass says power was never conceded. It must always be taken in a struggle. And that struggle is going to take on many, many forms. I'll say this when I go back even to the Rodney King situation, right? Go back to the Rodney King situation. When they acquitted those officers, the only way that the Department of Justice stepped in is because we started burning this bitch down. Then they stepped in, So am I advocating that? No, but I understand. I ain't saying I agree, but I understand and trust and believe. When I was on those streets of civil rights, that fury gets to the point, and I've just come to understand that racism and bigotry does not deserve diplomacy. And that's part of what's wrong with the Democratic Party. See, the Democratic Party tries to play by the rules. The Republicans don't give a damn about the rules. They will change the rules anytime they want to. Facts. If you are in a 100-yard dash and they feel like they're losing, they just going to either move it up because they won after 10 yards, or they're going to move it back another 20 yards. They don't care about the rules. So I'm just simply saying that you understand this history, understand that the way the game is played, and adjust to the game. And if it needs to be changing the rules, so be it.
That's something, man. That's something. Hey, James, I got video. I got video of Bruh Mac like back in 2004 where he had well, you got to help me out with something, Bruh Mac, because you went through some phases. Like you went through phases where you had less hair than me, and then you went through phases where you had looked like you could have had an afro if you wanted to grow it. So it was like being bald for you was like optional back in the day.
True.
Anyway, well, we got send that video over to Dwayne. I want to pull that up. We don't have to pull it up now, but it's video of him back in the day as in the streets, like literally doing the work, shutting down highways. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I didn't know folks were shutting down highways until this new iteration of the movement, Black Lives, moving for Black Lives. And we've seen that activism. We've seen people shut down highways quite a bit. But, Bermac, you were shutting down highways back in 2004.
Actually, it was 2000. I want to say it may have been 2002 that happened. And it was over a similar situation. I worked as an engineer for King County government. And there was a King County deputy sheriff who shot and killed a black man, Robert Thomas Sr. And I took time off from work to actually go and sit in the inquest. And an inquest is simply a fact-finding proceedings. And I listened to all the facts behind that situation. And that thug cop, Mel Miller, who shot and killed Robert Thomas, was as guilty as sin. And so after the funeral of Robert Thomas Sr., which was held at Mount Zion Church in Seattle, they counted on us doing what we had traditionally done. After the funeral, we're still up in arms, and we're going to have a march down to City Hall. And so they had 2 motorcade cops leading a parade. And I wasn't, the leader of that was Reverend Leslie Braxton of Mount Zion. And so I said to Pastor Braxton, I said, look at this. This is nothing more than a dog and pony show. You want to do something? Allow me to just make a right turn here. He goes, Brother Mac, I don't know what you mean by the right turn, but if that's what you feel, lead us on the right turn. So I turned and marched us right on I-5 in the middle of rush hour traffic. And I want you to believe that rush hour traffic in Seattle is similar to what you all have in Atlanta. And so when the reporters asked me about it, I said, if we're uncomfortable, the whole damn city gonna start being uncomfortable. So that's the way that's gonna be. And so the next time I gathered for a protest, I had some handcuffs slapped on me real quick. And when I got those handcuffs on me, they told me, look, you're a high-profile individual. If you plead guilty and stay out of trouble for 6 months, this will all go away. And I told them, go yourself. You know, here I am, a law-abiding citizen. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and I'm protesting the killing of a black man. But the thug cop who shot him, he never gonna see a day in court. Let's play your judicial game. Unfortunately, I had a young lawyer who did nothing but shoot threes. There were no layups, and I was found not guilty for it. But trust and believe, every intent I had was to make Seattle as uncomfortable as possible. And again, there were no rules. I played by my own rules of justice. So to the previous question that came in, there was nothing. And I don't mean to say this from a braggadocious standpoint. Trust and believe. If you looked at that videotape that Ben is showing you, you'll see that I just didn't play by anybody's rules. And I will honestly tell you that every case that I ever dealt with, I put a value on how far I was willing to go, up to and including death. And I just realized, you know, I'd rather die on my feet than to live on my knees. But the day that I'm going to ask America to give me what my ancestors have fought and died for, what God gave me, them days are done. They were done with me. And all of Seattle knew it. I knew it. My family knew it. Now you know it, like it or not.
I knew it was coming. I knew it was coming. I was 3. Take us to a break, James. When we come back, Rebecca Zora is going to join us, like it or not. We'll be right back after this.
On the porch, murals on the walls for the ones that we lost. Bodegas on the corner, let me see what's in store. Subway stations with the maps and the cars. Summer cookouts, uncle got the sandals on. Statue of Liberty, we holding up the torch. If they ask where I'm from, tell them this is New York. We from the home of the biggie, people blowing they ciggies. And these girls going wild cause they flashing they this lady. Watch it. You said that I was. You had me lost trust. That city life will make you go. Yeah, no place like home. No place like home. No place like.
All right, y'all, welcome back. It's time for some more Like It or Not, and we are joined by our sister from another mister, Rebecca Zora. Good morning, sister.
Sister from another mister. Hey, good morning, you guys. Sister, how are you?
I love your shirt,
Rebecca. Hey, good morning, sis. And I got to tell you something. As an old man, you're going to have to come on over here and sing me to sleep. I heard you yesterday, girl.
Weak.
See, listen.
I love it.
That wasn't even supposed to be played like that. Now, that was all Bubba. I sang it for Bubba, right? Because he wanted me to sing Anita Baker.
I'm going to tell you something right now. As far as I'm concerned, you were singing that just for the old man. Let's be clear. Like it or not.
I got you. I will definitely find a lullaby and sing you to sleep. Okay, Dr. Mac, I got you. Well, good morning, y'all. I hope that you guys are doing good this morning. I am sorry, for my absence this morning. I know the people were wondering where she was. I'm tired. Okay, I worked till midnight last night, and I was also taking out my braids. It was a lot happening. Okay, so I once I got done with that, it was about 2:30 in the morning, and I took an early nap around like 10. Woke up and tried to finish what I had to do, but I'm here. Braids are gone. Got to get the hair done today. But I'm here, and I love to see all three of you guys' beautiful faces.
Rhythm Nation.
You hear me, Rebecca? With that Rhythm Nation hat on.
Well, I had to, because what's underneath it is not in rhythm.
I already know.
It's not in rhythm.
Why are you this way, Rebecca?
Y'all I said, it's not in rhythm, B.
It's off key. It's all kinds of things. But I got it. We're going to get it together.
I can't stand you.
I don't want to bring the mood down. Damn it, but I got to play a clip. I need you to see something, Rebecca.
Okay.
And maybe you should keep that same joy. Don't let this white boy take your joy. Rebecca, I asked you not to say a word last week, and I was so tempted to call him this saltine. Almost came out of me. I almost called Charlie Kirk a saltine. A Ritz. Ritz. Because this white boy came for Simone Biles. That's all I'm going to say. Run the clip.
So Simone Biles, who's obviously a very talented gymnast, decided not to compete in the gold medal competition. Now, she probably could have just competed and just kind of checked the boxes and they would have got a gold medal. Simone Biles says, this Olympic Games, I wanted to be for myself when I came in, and I felt like I was still doing it for other people, as she cried after the team event on Tuesday. So that just, it like hurts my heart because doing what I love has been kind of taken away from me to please other people. Yeah, that's the point, Simone Biles. You're representing your nation, you're selfish sociopath. You kidding me? Today it's like, you know what? I'm not going to do something stupid and get hurt. It's just not worth it. Especially when you have like three amazing athletes that can step up to the plate and do it. So you know who has the gold medal? Russia. Russia. I have to go look at these 4'11" Russian Olympians chewing on their gold medals, smirking at the Americans. I'm not okay with that. But honestly, that's where we're headed. We are raising a generation of weak people like Simone Biles. Again, if you want to be, if she got all these mental health problems, don't show up. She's an incredible athlete. Of course she's an incredible athlete. I'm not saying, I just said she's probably the greatest gymnast of all time. She's also very selfish, she's immature, and she is a shame to the country. She's totally a sociopath. Of course she's a sociopath. Andrew says she's not a sociopath. What kind of person skips the gold medal match? Who does that? It's a shame to the nation. You just gave a gift to the Russians. Don't show up. If you're not ready for the big time, we got thousands of young female gymnasts that would love to take the place. Thousands. Simone Biles just showed the rest of the nation that when things get tough, you shatter into a million pieces.
See, this is the same exact.
I'm about to say I'm going to go first. Somebody said it again in the chat.
No, you go first.
We don't give a F. I mean, come on, Charlie Kirk, who are you? You don't even play sports. You don't do nothing that's going to mess with your mental like that. Bro, who the hell are you? And who's listening to you? I'm not. I don't give a damn about what you say. This girl already injured herself as well, too, prior to that match. So you can kick rocks, bro. Rebecca, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let me get in, Rebecca, before you come. Because there were some words that he said that I need to deal with. He said she's probably, no, player, 30 Olympic and World Championship medals, the most decorated American gymnast of all time, arguably the greatest gymnast ever. You called her weak, and then you used the term sociopath. Player, I'm convinced that you fucking got an F in English. I'm convinced of it. Because, see, Andrew told you, no, she's not a sociopath because you don't even know what a sociopath is. Talk about and that's what you are. To think that you could step to this sister in such a manner, bring your punk ass into the arena of men. Ben, me, DJ, Sister Azor, Queen Azor, please anoint us as your knights for representing black women so we can take this behind the woodshed and beat his monkey ass. How about that?
Run it, Rebecca.
Bring your punk ass to the table about men and let us deal. Let us talk about this shit.
Yeah. No, seriously. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be us that comes to her defense. What my issue is, I have a few issues with. His name is Charlie Kirk. I have
one shot, Rebecca.
I have a few issues with him. One, let's just start here. Yesterday, we reported and said that, it was reported, actually, it was being reported that she was injured. But we knew, Ben, how he was like, okay, it is definitely something mental, right? And we were trying to figure out what kind of mental state it was, but at the end of the day, she had to protect herself. That's literally the essence of it all. She had to protect herself. And a lot of people were coming to her defense. And then right after the show, she was like, listen, it ain't about no injury. I need to step back. I need to be honest with myself. I need to be honest with you guys. And it's too much pressure for me. I matter. And that's what matters. I'm not going to sit here and act like I belong to the nation. This is the same conversation that we had with Naomi Osaka, who is arguably one of the greatest tennis players of her day. So, and the same thing with Simone Biles. Like, she's one of the greatest gymnasts right now in the world who represents the United States. And they treat her as if, because she represents the United States, she belongs to them. If we were to see, and I constantly say this all the time, if we were to see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 white folks say, I need to step back because of my mental health. Oh, we would see commercials now for the next Olympics. We would see them on the commercials now saying, hey, if you or anybody you know is suffering from mental health issues, listen, they would go and show rehabs or places where now they can go for refuge. It's going to be a conversation now on every white morning show that you know. And they're going to say, wow, her strength, her power, her enthusiasm, her resilience to stand up against mental health issues, like all of that, right? But for her, for Simone and for Naomi, what we've seen is just, oh my God, how dare they do this against the nation? They belong to us. Simone belongs to us. Naomi belongs to us. All those black basketball players, all those black football players belong to us. So they do not have the right to say, I need to take a step back for me. I'm going crazy. I can't take this. The weight of the world is on me. This is too much. They don't have the right to do that, because when they do it, you got white people in their basements, who are paid to be in their basements or paid to be in a studio that is unmarked. So we don't go find out where their asses are. So I can send you beautiful black men over to where they're located to whoop their behinds. But what they do is place them in these unmarked locations to chip away at these women, at these men, to chip away at these. And they're young. They're really young. And to chip away at them. But at the end of the day, I love that Naomi showed us, I don't give a damn. My daddy told me he gonna stick right beside me. My mama told me she gonna stick right beside me. Same thing for Simone when she tweeted out. She said, I feel like the weight of the world is on me, but I have my family who's sticking right beside me, and that's the only thing that gets me through. The people that you see behind her right now are not her family.
Exactly.
They are not her family. They are the fans. They are her fans, but they're also people who think that she belongs to them. But her gift is something that she's sharing with the world. It is not something that she is giving you to take and to control, period. Now, for this Charlie Kirk man, right? Women have already dragged him online. Black men are dragging him online. If we catch you in the street, just like Brother Max said, let me tell you something.
You don't know.
All the women will step back. And let these men literally handle you as the man that you're trying to be, right? This man of the nation. We'll have your way in the name of Jesus. Have your way on America, okay? Have your way. And here's my thing about it. Charlie Kirk was also somebody who called for, who sent out 80 plus buses full of patriots to DC to fight for the president right before the terrorist attack on America. This is a man that we can't listen to. He needs to be arrested for his part in what happened on January 6th. This man right here is the cause of people dying on January 6th. Okay? Get it. This man is a domestic terrorist. I don't see why he has a platform and he's speaking. He over here speaking about things. Don't be worried about her mental health. We need to get you in handcuffs, boo-boo. We need to get you. No. You have no reason to even have a mic to speak on anything, because for the same nation that you're fighting for, you abused. You brought so many people to that Capitol. sent 80 buses full. This is on his tweet on the people's internets, okay? On Beyonce's internet, he said he's sending 80 plus buses full of patriots to DC to fight for this president, okay? That's what he wrote. So he needs to not be in other people's business. Mental health is a very serious issue. And for these people, and the majority of the people leading this very, very, very dangerous conversation that these athletes belong to them. And these athletes are weak. Okay, when they step back and say, I need me. I need to make sure that I'm good enough for me before I continue to keep sharing myself with you guys. I've given too much of myself, and now I need to back up. I need to recharge. The people that are saying that's wrong to say look like him. Okay, they look like him. And their abusive rhetoric, there are going to be some people who don't have family and friends who are going to stick right beside them and to encourage them. But they're going to be picked apart by the media. They're going to be picked apart by these right-wing, racist pigs. They're going to be picked apart by these people. And some of them may not be able to make it out from that dark space. And so
think about this, Queen. Think about this as well. He calls her a loser. He calls her that. And to your point, this fool just sent 80, however many buses he sent to DC. Why? Because he personally could not accept the fact that his boy, -45, lost the election to the point that they committed treason. So talk about the hypocrisy of it all. Mm-hmm. Boy, bring your ass over here. We got words for you. We're going to lay hands on you. And I'm not talking about holy water hands either. Bring your punk ass to the
right.
Come on.
And Rebecca, and I have a question for you too, Rebecca. And this is good. This is from Infinite Content. He says, how do we know the sexual abuse that she suffered from that monster, Dr. Nasser, isn't affecting or triggering her? Real rap.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying.
Rebecca, let me just add this context real quick, because she actually wanted to step away from this tournament, like from the sport, but she felt that she had the responsibility of she's the last person who was a part of that cohort that were abused by that guy. And she felt that if she stepped away, that the Olympic Committee would not take sexual abuse serious. And so she was not only carrying the damage of her broken bones, she was carrying the damage of his sexual perversion that was, but black women stay doing that in history.
And to the point being, I remember when her mother asked her about that and she refused to answer. And her mother just instinctively knew that something was wrong. And she said, one day, Simone came in and said, Mom, I need to tell you something. And her mom said, without her ever saying it, she knew what she was about to reveal to her about this monster. So, Kurt, I'm going to say it again. The Queen has anointed us as her warriors, and we about ready to open up a can of whoop ass on you, players. So just come to the table. Come here, come out your basement, and let's deal with us. Like it or not, player, bring your punk ass on.
Yeah.
Come on!
And look, it's that freedom ring, baby. What's up? Come get these mental health fists to your face. How about that? Simone has gone through so much to be so young and to be abused and still have to represent this nation. He's calling her a loser. He's calling her weak. Yes. He's calling her insufficient. He's calling all of these things that he's labeling her as, the same thing that was labeled on Naomi as well. What you don't know what these people are going through. It unravels and they have to stand on and face again. Like for this particular moment, the conversation like that we're having right now, the sexual abuse that she had is probably something that she's going to have to relive, because that's going to be the conversation right now. Because we're all going to be saying, hey, remember when this happened to her? Remember when this happened to her? So this is a particular moment where she does want to step back, where she does want to get her mind right. Like continuing to sell yourself for America, like on a big level and on a small level. Every day I do it for a big corporation that does not care about me. Every single day I sell my soul. Is that my camera?
It is, but keep going. Please don't stop.
Every single day I sell my soul for people who will constantly, for a corporation who will replace me, but tells me that if I don't belong to them, if I don't do what they ask me to do, even if it's at the expense of my mental health, I'm not a hard worker. I'm not doing what needs to be done. I'm not gonna make it in life. But let my white counterpart say, "Oh my God, I need to step back." They will. I've seen this with my own eyes. I heard this with my own ears. 4 months off, paid. The struggle that all my black counterparts have to go through.
It just and Sister Zora, when you think about it in sports, think about one of the most violent games in American sports that then took over religion. I'm talking NFL. Right? Yeah. Think about how rough and how brutal that sport is, to the point that they would pump athletes up regardless of their injuries and put them out there. And one of the most shining examples of how they would use these corporations, in this case, the NFL, would use you up and throw you away. Go take a look at the physical condition of Earl Campbell right now. Just take a look at him. And yet they were denying medical benefits. They were in denial about concussions. They was in denial about a whole lot of things. As long as we can get that black body out there and you punt that ball, run that ball, catch that ball, throw that ball. That's all they cared about. But when it came to the very product that has put billions upon billions into a nonprofit, by the way, into their pockets, everything is cool in the game. But then let a brother do what Jim Brown did at the prime of his career, step away. Barry Sanders at the prime of his career, step away. No, they don't want that. They want that Willis Reed thing. They want you to limp out of the locker room. Damn your ligaments, damn your injuries. Give it all to us.
Yep. Because you belong to them. Everybody belongs there. They want it all. They want your soul. They want everything. But once something happens to you, all of these, look at a lot of these players who, I forgot his name, but the player that allegedly had relations with LeBron James' mother, which probably isn't true, but I forget his name. But I know that was a popular story for him. He had mental health issues. They found that brother on the streets, basketball player, and
what's his name?
Oh my God!
They'll say it in the chat. But
I know Dwayne probably know.
the NBA literally just left him out there until somebody found him and put him on video. And all of a sudden, the help was. Then he was trying to get. Yes.
Delonte West.
Yes. So, and then after that, then they tried to then come and show him and say, hey, we're going to try to get him help. Sometimes people be too far gone, don't even want help. It's a struggle trying to get them off. It's a struggle. But this is a man who was supposed to be getting paid a certain type of money. This is a man who gave his blood, sweat, and tears every night on that court for America. For America. And there are many other NFL players who literally go through the same. I have a lot of friends who played the NFL. Who got kicked to the side, and some of them have mental health issues, and some of them couldn't find a job to save their lives, and they suffered abuse on that damn field. Some of them might have the CT something with the head injury.
Concussion.
Yeah, and some of them might have that, and nobody knows, but they're walking around here with all kinds of stuff. And once they're done with you, once the NFL is done with you, that is it for you. Like, you got to go fend for yourself. And some of these men cannot handle the fact that there is no life after the NFL. They weren't prepared for that, and some of them get thrown away like trash, and they're not remembered like we see with Delonte West. I mean, it's crazy.
To that point that you're talking about the NFL. Two names quickly come to mind, Dave Druerson and Junior Seau. These brothers, because of the number of concussions that they had, these two brothers, who I never in a million years would have thought, given that the outstanding career that they had, these two brothers killed themselves. Absolutely killed themselves. And I'm sure that there have been NFL players, and I remember the black doctor who tried to bring the impact of concussions on NFL players to the NFL. Oh, the NFL used their entire might and power to shut that brother down. But today, we see the efforts of that black doctor now being played out so that the NFL now recognizes it. So when we talk about mental health, this fool is so incredibly insensitive. And now that you're talking about this big money machine, where are they shutting his system down for the abuse that he's given to mental health victims? None whatsoever. But that big money machine of America will allow him to keep his mic and keep his pockets lined with that sick constituents that he appeals to.
That's a great point, Dr. Mack, because a lot of the conversations that are happening online that are very abusive, but because it comes from a Black platform or a Black person, what they will do is censor it. They'll cut it off. They'll say this is either nudity, cursing, hate speech, all kinds of stuff. And our content always gets flagged. But here we go with these white shock jocks and these white media personalities and all these people in these spaces when it comes to social media that are white. They do the same exact thing, but for some reason, well, no, because in this country, we know that it's aesthetically pleasing to see all this come from white people and to hear this come from white people. When it comes from us, it's they literally associate it with such negativity. No matter what, it's going to be negative. It's going to be hate speech. It's going to be too gritty when it comes from us. So they always have to put restrictions on it, and they will shut us down. That's why it been, as you can see, the same things you say here on this show may get flagged. But if we go, and no offense to TYT, shouts out to them, love them, mean it. But if you go on TYT and speak the same thing, there's a chance that will stay up and gain the numbers that it needs. It's crazy. Yeah. Same thing. Just coming from predominantly Black.
No, those are facts.
It's definitely facts. Yeah.
We find that everywhere. It's just we're not just fighting bigotry. We're fighting the algorithm that bigotry built as well.
Yeah, but it was, Ben, I don't even want to give it to them. It's somebody wrote that algorithm, and then there's somebody who enforces that algorithm. And those are the so-called liberal whites who are absolutely the most dangerous. They want to continue to have our narrative, which is why the Black press, which is why Sister Zor, Brother DJ, and you are so important in having our voice to tell our story. But trust and believe that so-called white liberal, the one that's in the suit, the one that's controlling the algorithm, that algorithm ain't running on its own. Somebody's in control of it.
Somebody wrote it.
And do whatever they want to make things right. They don't choose to do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. Yesterday on the Breakfast Club, or it was yesterday or 2 days ago, one of these days, on the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne had brought on the head of Instagram, and they were discussing how, hey, why does the rapper Boosie's page constantly get taken down? He's always have to fight for his page, from being taken down. And while me, Rebecca Zora, may not be all like 100 with Boosie's content, but DJ Envy made a great point. He's like, why? And the head of Instagram, I guess it's the new head of Instagram, said, nudity. That's why we're pulling it down. It's nudity. It's what we have to pull down. Listen to this now. Now, I will say there was some videos a few years ago that were put out on his page that was not right. But DJ Envy says, I literally reported Kim Kardashian's picture where her full breast was showing. And I reported it constantly because it was nudity, because I wanted to see what would happen in that instance. So I reported it. The same way, if we're going to do it here, we got to do it here. We got to do it all across the board. And I reported it, and it never, he said he did it every day. He worked hard to report it. And they were like, dang, Envy, you a hater. He's like, no, other people were getting shut down. And I wanted to see how this works. I wanted to, because I'm like, if we're going to do it here, it has to be here. This is nudity. He said, I reported it every day and nothing happened to it. So when he said that, the Instagram, the head of Instagram was like, oh, well, if it's nudity, we'll take it down. He just kept saying, if it's nudity, we'll take it down. He had nothing to say, honey. And then he said, when it comes to, we're still learning about cultural and social kind of things. We're still, that's clearly, we don't really know how to handle that.
Rebecca, here's the question I would ask to the head of Instagram. Allow me to put a statue of David up. Will they take it down? The statue of David done by Michelangelo. Dude's dick's out, his nuts out. Everything's out. But they consider that art. They see that art. They say they consider that as art. They wouldn't consider it as nudity. See?
Man.
Talk to me about that double standard, like it or not.
Guaranteed, if you put a black statue up,
They gonna take it down. We gonna go
take the
It's
black
gonna be hanging to the
statue.
knee. They don't want to see that.
Okay,
They
go.
don't want to see that kind of stuff.
We're not in the after party yet.
I hate all of y'all on
Wait
the
a
screen
minute.
right now.
Wait a minute.
Dr.
Wait a
Matt
minute.
especially.
Hey, wait a minute, DJ. I need to understand this. Are you saying that because of that matter? Are you? Is that what you're saying?
They say all sizes matter. Hey, DJ, take us to a break. We're going to
We gonna stay live. Wait.
Audience, we don't want to alienate anybody.
We gonna wait. I wanted to stay live because we got so many more videos to go through, but I think we might need to go private. I tell you what we're gonna do. We're gonna stay live. Let's go to break. Let's go to break, and we're gonna stay live. We're gonna reset. We're gonna try to jam through as many videos as we can in the after party. James, get us out of here before we get banned for real. The real thing they mad
Like,
about.
all the mouths.
Statue gonna be, you know what?
Say it again. You're saying you're sorry, so say it again. Only you can make my world go black. Say you love me, then you take it back. Say it again, say it again. You want my forgiveness, so say it.
Conversation gonna have to happen at the patron party. Are we having a patron party this weekend? Is it this week, David? I leave it. Yes. So,
Yeah.
Okay, so the real conversation will have to take place at the patron party Friday night. Patreon.com/like it or not, or if you're a patron of the Benjamin Dixon Show, wherever if you're connected to our network at all, you can come to the patron party. We'll get you there. Welcome to Wakanda.
This is tickling Dr. Mac. This is tickling him.
Tickling me too, Josh.
I think I have to be done with it.
I mean, that's the whole point. Tickling it, right? Yeah.
Shut up, man. God dang it, man.
I couldn't help. I had to imagine a picture, a statue of David or a statue of Mandingo. Yeah.
I'm just. Because I said, does it, they gonna be mad because it hit the knee. That was just, y'all gotta edit that out.
Okay, look, Rebecca.
That was just, let's just move on. Ben, what's the video?
What's clip?
The video.
Let's go to clips, man.
The video is the video is Wakanda Forever. Here we go. I don't even know. David, you tell us what. David, cut on your microphone, David, and navigate us. David, we have. Here's a challenge. Here's a challenge. We got 21 minutes. We got 21 minutes to get through like 5 videos. David, videos. We're gonna see if you can navigate us, David. You got the helm.
We can play them straight in a row. Nah. Hey everyone. All right, Dwayne, roll the first one. 21. It's basically, let's start with the updates on COVID, because it's like yesterday, it's basically like the country all of a sudden woke up to the fact that COVID still exists.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
House says that 3 states now account for 40% of all new infections, Texas, Florida, and Missouri. Starting today, St. Louis will require masks in public indoor places and on public transportation. But Missouri's Republican Attorney General says he will sue to block the mandate.
It's time for Joe Biden. It's time for Democrats. It's time for serious Republicans to start ignoring the ground noise and start focusing on the signal. And the signal is this. If you're a school teacher, if you're a nurse, if you're a cop, you need to get vaccinated. And if you don't, you need to look for another job.
More people have been killed in the United States of America because of COVID than in every single major war we fought. Combined, every single one.
People need to get vaccinated. That's the only way we're going to cut this thing off. Nobody likes wearing a mask. Get vaccinated.
Damn. Where's she been? I haven't seen that girl in ages.
In ages.
Where has she been? I forgot all
she was
about
vice
her.
president.
I said, whose voice is that? That's crazy. But anywho, I digress. It's crazy how, what's so special about what is so special about the Delta variant that wasn't special about COVID-19? I know this is a different variant, right? And we haven't prepared ourselves to actually, we're more prepared than we were with COVID-19, with this Delta variant. But at the end of the day, because at the end of the day, where was all of that from all these people on COVID-19? Where was it? Where were you?
At the beginning of all this, yes.
Where were you, sis? I forgot about her, y'all. I really did. I don't even think I've mentioned her name in a minute. I forgot all about her.
Yeah.
And but seeing the people who spoke about COVID-19 as if it were just some kind of conspiracy theory, the flu, just a regular common cold. Hearing them now, I don't know what it is about the Delta variant. Is it something that they're getting paid to do? It's just very, very eerie. And I'm not talking about Joe Biden and Kamala Harris right now. I'm talking about the Morning Joe folks.
Joe wasn't terribly. I actually look at Joe. I agree with you, but I actually do look at Joe Biden, and I don't know if I want to. This is the after party, so whatever. I'll just talk about what. But I honestly wanted to know where was Barack Obama at the beginning of the pandemic. Where was everybody, y'all? Because we're talking about 630,000 lives.
Ben.
Wait, now hang on. I'm gonna finish my thought. Here's the thing. Donald Trump, America got left into the hands of a sociopath with the cognitive capacity of a child. And we realized at that point that there really were no adults in the room as soon as Donald Trump got that presidency. America's so dependent on the office of the presidency that if this pandemic had started at the beginning of Donald Trump's term, we probably could have seen over 2 million people dead at this point. And the reason I ask about, I'm almost there. The reason I ask about Barack Obama, the same reason I say about Joe Biden, the same reason I say there should not have been a period in American history where, in order to protect the office of the presidency, where the people with enough influence to save 630,000 lives, I just feel like they should have been saying all this from the beginning, day one, square one. That's what
I agree.
No, listen, they said, everybody was saying, but listen, I'd rather listen to Fauci than I would Obama or Biden, but you cannot, and so to bring them into that, to bring them into this, I think it's unfair because we have to remember what Negative 45 said on February 10th, 2020. He said by April, in theory, it gets warmer and it miraculously goes away. He also stated at the time when we only had 15 reported cases, in a couple of days, this will be handled. No, you can't bring the brother Obama in this. You can't bring Biden into this. This is all on the hands, not only of Negative 45, but that entire Republican constituency. Yeah. That is, all of them were parroting Negative 45's agenda. This is what they all did. So Brother Ben, as much as we agree, no, I'm not going. I am not in agreement that Obama or Biden or anybody else had anything to do with it. Because again, if we say that we want to listen to you let experts do what experts do. Obama's not an expert in pandemics or virus. Fauci was the expert. They didn't want to listen to him or any other science. This lays in the hands of the Republican Party. That's where this lays. So it is, so Sister Azor, to your point, it's not that there's a difference between Corona and this new variant. It's just that this, now what they're seeing this new variant do is kill their constituency. And now they're beginning to try to change their narrative. But let it be known that these deaths lie on the hands of Negative 45 and that Republican Party, like it or not.
I gotta agree with Dr. Mack as well too, because Fauci is the expert. Fauci's on the stage the whole time. Trump is just discrediting everything that this man said at that point. And I really think, honestly, truly, if you look at it, Obama, Clinton, anybody else from former presidents former past administrations wouldn't have been able to do anything that was going to change the narrative that he set in place.
Nothing.
And now
nobody was checking for Fauci. No one was checking for Fauci, but they would have loved to hear, though, the people, because you know how the people are. Now, if what Fauci was saying came from the mouth of their leader, then they would have been like, Biden said it, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. To Ben's point, the people who had the ability to reach their people should have done so when they had the opportunity, because we know how America is. If it ain't coming, we don't be liking the messenger all the time. We don't like them. We don't like the messenger all the time. So if the messenger came, if the message came from the messenger that we wanted it to come from, then how influential it is, people would have been like, okay, if this person did it, I'm gonna go do it. If this person said it, I'm gonna go do it. If this person said it, I'm gonna go do it. So I hear it at that point too. But the most important person in this whole situation was the one that was put at the bottom of the totem pole, and that was Fauci. They put that man at the bottom. They literally, we would see him on stage, and we would see Donald Trump speaking, and it'll be like, Fauci would be like, well, no, shut up.
That's
great disrespect.
Yeah, but Queen, here's the other part. Remember when this was all happening? We didn't even know who Fauci was. All of a sudden, through polls, Fauci was the most popular man in America. They just did not want to hear him because they wanted to go down. I'm telling you, the vaccine and the mask is like their new Confederate flag. That's what they wanted, and they're reaping. And if you go biblically, they're reaping what they sowed. The chickens have come home to roost, in the words of Brother Malcolm. This lays on their hands.
Yeah, no, I agree with that too. It's a fool. And I think what's happening is that it's somewhere hitting them economically. It has to be. And it's and that's the only reason why we're seeing a lot of this conversation. And I'm talking about the right-wing folks. It's hitting them somewhere economically. It's affecting their money. And it's probably touched their family and friends. Before it was touching their family and friends, and they were so greedy that they didn't give a damn. They were like, open up these damn states, okay? Open up these borders, open up what we need to open up, because these checks are dropping. Start opening up these malls and these stores, make them essential. Those were that was happening. That was a whole thing. But I feel like right now it's hitting them economically somewhere, and people, like you said, are dying. It's affecting their businesses, their corporations, and they can't have that. So now let's change the narrative and on Fox News, and let's just start saying, hey, Sean Hannity, but let's just start talking about and let's discuss that we need to get the vaccine. It's important for you to get vaccinated. This is on the very same network that they sat there and laughed and compared the virus to the regular flu, and saying that we didn't need to get vaccinated, and getting yourself vaccinated might result in you getting growing a third leg or wings or something. Like, they made this whole idea about that whole situation. So yeah, it's a fool.
And when you speak about it from a capitalistic standpoint, understand what -45 said on February 24th. He said the coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. Goes on to say the stock market is starting to look very, very good to me. So to your point, Sister Azur, it's about the money. Let's open up everything. And then remember what they did in Georgia. In order to try to get a couple of guinea pigs, they took every business that they thought was endearing to Black folks, and those were the first businesses in Georgia that they opened up nail salons, opened up hair salons, opened up barbershops, the places that they felt Black folks would first go to. Let's open those up, and then we'll see how this plays out. So it is without question that all of this, we all could have been celebrating and have moved this behind us. But make no mistake about this. This lies at the hands of -45 and that entire Republican contingency. And those who, like Donald, the Black representative from Florida, who says he wants to carry the party line, your hands are just as bloody as the rest of them, all of you.
Like it or not.
Like it or not.
It just cracks me up. I love the dramatic pause. At the end of the day, when it comes to the Delta variant.
No, I just want to make sure everybody had a chance to say what they had to say.
Oh.
Everybody good?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, we're moving on? We don't.
No.
Ben, I don't know. I don't like. I have a lag, and so I don't.
No, it's
really
cool.
know.
It's cool. Is there a lag?
No, there's a lag on my end because I did not restart my computer this morning.
Oh, yeah. No, I dig it. I appreciate disagreements. Here's why, and I appreciate all of your perspectives. At what threshold with the people? You can keep everybody on the screen. I'm not big on the one shot for me personally. Not to get back on this treadmill. At what point?
That's this goddamn question.
I just want y'all to know because I'm not taking myself too seriously here either.
Not be laughing while you try to be serious.
I'm not taking myself too seriously here. Just so everybody can
throw me off and now
understand the temperature of the room. I just want to make sure everybody knew the temperature of the room. That's all. Listen.
I hate you, bitch.
At what point would the people who had the hearts and the minds and the influence enough to have circumvented the dumbass president that was Donald Trump? I'm sorry. 630,000 people said break all protocols. Don't be silent out of respect for the institution of the presidency. I can't. This would be a fundamental disagreement because for me, when I look at how many people died, man, like that was an all hands on deck moment. We should have had goddamn marathons of of whoever, everybody on screen, everybody. But Barack Obama has a commitment to the institution of the United States and a commitment to the institution of the office of the presidency. It's documented, right? And out of respect for the office of the presidency, not out of respect for Donald Trump, to be sure. I don't want anybody to mistake that. Barack Obama wasn't doing that out of respect for Donald Trump. He was doing it out of the respect for the office of the institution of the office of the presidency. But at what point do we cross the threshold to say, I cannot respect these institutions more than I respect the urgency of the moment? Because where's the threshold? Like, if we don't put this and I don't say for a minute that we lay this at the feet of Barack Obama. I say, at what point do we look for help anywhere we can get it? My suggestion was before we crossed the first 100,000 lives. That's when we needed everybody to be out.
Well, Ben, I'll say this. In fairness, why don't we go back at a later time and go back and look at Obama's record on that? But trust and believe, if ever there's a time when a saying makes sense, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Just think about what, and I remember talking to my mama about what was going on in Mississippi. At the time, we're talking about the fact that we as Black folks got these pre-existing conditions, and we saw the death toll rising very high in our community. And with all the science and all the facts that were being given out, we still had our people talking about these conspiracies of them putting a chip in your arm and why I'm not taking it and bringing up the Tuskegee experiment. I get that. But there comes a time when reason can't talk to stupid. If you stuck on stupid, what is one to do but trust and believe? Obama's voice was one that was raised. It was absolutely raised. And again, you have to go back to it. You let experts do what experts do. There were too many experts telling us the impact of this virus and how devastating it was. And yet you still had people, our people, their people, everybody. There was just a group of Americans who just would not believe. And I'm going to say this like my mama used to say, boy, sometimes you don't believe shit stinks. And they just simply didn't believe it, brother.
That speaks to the crippling reality of our system, y'all. And I said this at the top of the show. We have a system that if we are more concerned with respecting the structure and for example, the filibuster, If we at this moment have more respect for the institution of the filibuster and we don't break that thing head across the Republican Party's head, we are going to not only have COVID-19 the way we had it, we're going to have voting rights irrevocably damaged in this country because of the respect for and that's why I say Joe Biden too, because Joe Biden is genuflecting before the filibuster the same way a lot of well-meaning liberals genuflect before all these other institutions, including the office of the presidency. We are at a stage in American history, world history. We can't afford for that. We need people willing to fight these institutions.
Okay, but before we go to the filibuster, let me just say this now. I need you to keep in mind, Obama had a pandemic response team in place when he left the White House. Negative 45 took that out. I mean, Ben, trust and believe. Obama may have some issues that we need to address. But this issue on his voice and his efforts around what we're now looking at of the devastation of this virus and the variant, I'm telling you right now, we shall disagree, brother, because I promise you, negative 45 and the Republicans, they own it all.
I want to make sure that everyone is clear about what we disagree on here then. Yeah. Because disagreements are fine so long as we're not allowing anyone to interpret our disagreement. Sure. This is the statement that I would make no matter where I stand, even if Barack Obama was right here right now. I would ask him the question, what number do we have to get to? Or even any of these people who respect these institutions, at some point, at what point do we throw the institution out? How many people have to die before? And I know Barack Obama did his job, but the thing is we saw what Donald Trump was doing as he was doing it. When he disbanded Barack Obama's good work, that should have been all hands on deck because we knew this was coming. And so here we are. This is the only thing I would say that we disagree on. I think that we do have to look at the people who are a part of the institutions and hold them accountable to whatever measure they're accountable. I won't ask Barack Obama to be held accountable to anything more than he's responsible for. But the institution of the office of the presidency is culpable in these deaths.
Okay, so Ben, I'm looking at an article.
Question real quick.
I'm looking at an article right now that was dated May 9th of 2020. At the time that article was written, the death toll was at 80,000 at the time. And in this article, he strongly comes out and criticizes Trump. At that time, he came out. But that's not to say that his remarks about the way Trump was dealing with the pandemic didn't occur earlier. I'm just, in my quick search, I just found an article that came out when the numbers was at 80,000. So again, we'll go through and look at what point he came out.
It is the power. Go ahead, James.
And my question would be, what could have Obama done that would have changed that? Because at that point, the vaccines weren't out yet. There was no talk of vaccines.
I got an answer for you.
The only thing is that you're going to keep pushing for mask mandates and closing down the government. But at that point, even though I understand that the office of the institution of the presidency, it determines certain things, at the end of the day, it's still going to be up to the mother sucker that's in the office at that current time. The only thing that you can do is give that advice, and it is just like, if you just can't say, if you're going to say Obama, then you're going to have to say everybody else that's down that damn line. So let's name them.
Yes, Clinton, sir. Let's do it.
You have to get everybody. Yes. So I understand that we putting Obama out there, but Ben, let's be clear. I want you to say everybody else's name in there as well too. To include that.
I can't even hear everybody else's name in it, but go ahead.
No, let's be sure. The power that Donald Trump has is a direct extension of the power that was amassed underneath not only Barack Obama, but also underneath George W. Bush, also underneath, it is the imperial presidency. Now we going up, it's 10:30, we going up, but the fact of the matter is that Donald Trump was able to get away with what he got away with, not only because he had ignorant supporters, but because he had an obscene amount of power enshrined into the imperial presidency that the Congress could not check if they were not willing to stand up and do their jobs. And so they they have a perfect balance in this country. The office of the presidency has imperial powers to do what the hell he wants in some critical areas, and that has emboldened exactly what we see with Donald Trump. Now, did we fix any of those things when Joe Biden became president? No. We simply said we now trust the Democrats to have this imperial power. But what happens when the same power goes right back into the hands of the next Republican president? That is the chain that has to be broken.
So let me jump on up in this double dutch. Ben, I think, it's right. I think you pointed out something for me. All of you guys did. It's a very healthy exchange. I love the conversation. I think for me, there's a whole list of people that we need to go ahead and go right on down the list. I mean, Barack Obama is amongst the people, but it's a lot of people. But who we have to deal with right now is who's in office right now. Yes, and it's Joe Biden. The power that we gave to them to handle the pandemic and see how they were going to handle the pandemic. I don't really care for how they're handling the pandemic. There are things that are working. There are some things that are not working.
Agreed.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And we haven't heard. Like I said, I forgot all about Kamala Harris. I forgot about Joe Biden's promise when it came to COVID-19. Now we're in the Delta variant. What's the next promise? What's it going to look like? What's going to be the push? Remember, it was like getting a certain amount vaccinated. Now, what's going to be the push for now? So I don't know. But what I do know is that this change of heart when it comes to the people who once had power with -45 is very interesting. Like I said, it must be hitting them in personal places. It must be hitting them economically. So that's the capitalism view. That's the capitalistic view of it all. And then we were talking about where the power is now.
Gotcha,
they ain't doing nothing with that same power. When Donald Trump was in office, he made sure that he pushed the rhetoric that COVID-19 wasn't a serious thing. This man possibly, and they said he did, but he had COVID-19, and as an example to America, stood in front of everybody, hardly breathing, took his mask off, basically saying Fauci ain't nothing. Whatever that man is telling you ain't nothing. But this COVID-19 thing ain't nothing. I'm hardly breathing right now, but I'm your president. Mask ain't nothing. We're going to open up this country, and we're going to make sure we start to do what we need to do. People were dying still. Numbers were freaking tripling by the second. We had a Governor Cuomo who everybody was looking at as the presidential man. Add him to that damn list. We had him over here, supposed to be the leader, right, of the leading this thing so much. We were throwing around the conversation of, oh, my God, how presidential can this man be? His influence was very powerful. But this was the same man that was ready to open up New York, one of the states, the state that had one of the first COVID-19 cases of somebody dying, and getting it. And they didn't even have ventilators for a long period of time. And then he was hiding numbers. These were our leaders. This is where the power shifted over to, right? When it came into our hands, the Democratic hands, we fumbled the ball too. And the matter is so much more serious. And what we need to really focus on right now is the disease. I don't give a damn if you red or blue. I don't give a damn if you black, yellow, purple, brown. I don't care. It's a lot of y'all that should be on that list that should be condemned. It is. It definitely is. But right now we got a lot of people that are losing.
But Sister Zora, we got to understand this. When it gets out of the box, ain't shit nobody can do at that point. -45 had a chance to keep it in the box. He had a chance to do it. So it is a truism of history that people react on what they think has happened rather than what actually happened. So we have to go back and take a look at who was in charge at the time and where was this virus. And now if you want to talk about numbers, how many people were vaccinated under -45 and how many people got vaccinated under Biden? So when we go back and we tell this story, we got to go back and record that history very accurately of
what's the question?
That's my point. That's my point, though. You said how many people were vaccinated under -45? How many people were vaccinated under Biden? The influence was the power right there. -45 literally pushed for people not to be vaccinated. And then you got Joe Biden who made this campaign for people to be vaccinated. And I think this is the important thing here. Wherever your power is, you need to use it to influence the people to go better themselves, to go get healthy, to go get vaccinated. And that's what Joe Biden did. -45 sat there and made sure he told his folks the vaccination is the devil. You don't need vaccination. He even told these people to possibly inject themselves with bleach, and we had cases of people going to the hospital because they injected themselves with bleach. Listen, I got to go to work. I could stay all day for this conversation, but I got to go to work.
Me too.
And I'm gonna say this,
Mac, I'll stay with you for a few more. I'll stay with you for a few more minutes because there's meaning in the disagreement. Like it's not a meaningless disagreement.
Oh, no doubt. But this is why, Ben, because of what what Sister Zoe just said, this is why I cannot put the blame on anybody else. That blame is square with 45. Because again, when he had this thing in a box, he poo-pooed it away. He and the Republican Party poo-pooed away. But once this thing got out, I don't care what nobody said. It was out now. It was released. Yeah. So I can't.
That's why I'm glad. That's why I'm glad we cleared up because I want to be sure, and anyone who needs to rewind it back because we're not laying. I never laid the blame. It was in context of the question of Rebecca asking, which is why I was reticent to actually say it because I knew it was going to lead to exactly this point. But I couldn't resist.
Rebecca.
I couldn't resist the moth to the flame. Like a flame. I just could not resist the fact when Rebecca, when you said, oh, there's Joe Biden. Oh, where Kamala Harris been, right? The natural inclination of me also was to say, where was Barack Obama, right? Not to blame him, but I'm be honest with you. Like, if anybody knows how this system and how powerful and how deadly that office of the power of the presidency would be in the hands of Donald Trump, it had to be Barack Obama and George W. Bush. For the hell, I mean, I don't expect George W. Bush to show up. You know why? Because, he's George W. Bush. That's why.
But I'll say this,
can't go back. See, like I said, the list is long, but I don't want to go back in time. Those people today that's sitting here supposedly, who has to represent us and things like that, they ain't doing what they need to do. They not
230,000. 230 of the 600,000. Now, I understand momentum and that there was going to be a long time before the vaccine could slow down the growth. Absolutely. I don't want to make people feel the Republican talking point that 230,000 are to be laid at the feet of Joe Biden. However, not being firm on a mask mandate, those kind of things really help.
Well, let me say this based on what Sister Zor said. Negative 45 talked about putting bleach in his arm. I watched Obama get vaccinated. I watched the First Lady get vaccinated, Michelle get vaccinated. I watched Kamala Harris get vaccinated. Did we ever see negative 45 and his clan get vaccinated? Absolutely not. So I'm saying to you, at a time when we had a chance, and you got to understand this virus. At a time that we had it in the box, at least had a chance. Negative 45 let this thing get out. And so from that standpoint, I cannot even bring
Obama I have a question for you.
Conversation.
I have a question for you, Brother Mac.
Before you do, Ben, I have to run, y'all.
Hey, get out of here, man. Get out of here.
All right, look. Thank you for getting me, Bubba.
Listen,
are you leaving too, Rebecca?
So much.
You leaving too, Rebecca?
You know.
All right, and my wife has already left, and my kids are invading my room. So I got time for a question, and then time for you to answer, Brother Mac. My question for you is
love
this:
y'all mean it.
Take care, James.
Rebecca.
What has?
Thank you.
And Queen, you going too, Rebecca? All right, we'll see you later, Rebecca.
Got a job.
All right, got a job. What has changed structurally? Oh, Rebecca jumped out the room, so my video is going to take a couple seconds to adjust. I know I look crazy here. Here we go. What has changed outside of the personality of Donald Trump not being in the office of the presidency? Donald Trump is gone. What has changed about the structure of the presidency that will prevent the next pandemic from being handled by the next Republican in the same exact way as it was handled by Donald Trump?
Nothing. That is
literally the problem.
I get the power of the presidency, and it just simply has to be that way. But the point has to be this. Negative 45 was a response to 8 years of a black man being there. And based on what we're seeing in America right now, they're going to want to put another idiot in there. And so when that happens, yes, that's why you call it abuse of power. That's why we need to have this checks and balance system. So far be it for us to have a civics lesson over it. I get that. But when we're talking about this particular issue of the pandemic, It is clear that negative 45 in the Republican Party, and that is what we must stay on task about in recording this history of all the things he said. Even when I watched the presidential debate between Biden and negative 45, when they asked the question about the pandemic, I don't know who the hell the speechwriters were for Biden, but had it been me, I would have put down every date and every quote that he said. I would have put down that this thing is going to miraculously disappear. I would have put that quote in there that we only got 15 and in a couple of days, a couple of weeks, this is all going to go away. I would have beat him side his head with that. And what I'm saying now is that when it comes to this pandemic, that it is out of control, that lays at the feet not of Obama, not of Biden, not of Bush, not of Clinton, not of Carter, not of Ford, not of even George Washington. This lays at the feet of negative 45 and the Republican Party today.
And just because a lot of people listening may not have the context of who I am, I want everybody to go look at the receipts of my channel. Like I got like 20, I got tunes of 10, 20 million views, laying out that exact case. Matter of fact, I took it on the chin with my socialist friends because it is all hands on deck. It was all hands on deck to get rid of Donald Trump. So there's no question about that. But I would say, I gotta say this. Mm-hmm. Whether the next pandemic is the Omega variant, God forbid, of the Delta of COVID-19 or in another 100 years, if we do not change the absolute reason that Joe Biden did not go after Donald Trump the way that you said that you would have and I would have and anybody with good sense should have, that's also a part of this structural system that if we don't change these things, Brother Mack, and you know this because we talk about this all the time, so I'm not telling this to you, I'm just saying this to the audience. If we don't change the way we got Donald Trump and the amount of power that was entrusted into that white supremacist hands, we have not changed any of that. We're going into the next pandemic as soon as we get the next Republican president because they did not learn a thing. Joe Biden, we got to have some fundamental constitutional reforms right now because we have fascists knocking at the door in the name of Donald Trump, and they're coming back. We cannot continue to entrust all this power into an imperial presidency because we are not guaranteed to have a Democrat because we didn't have a Democrat in Donald Trump. Brother Matt, you get the last word.
But Brother Ben, this is where our constitutional right to vote comes into play. This is where people like yourself have to come into play, where we accurately record this history of how we got there, because we know history will repeat itself. It will absolutely repeat itself. So when we do the background searches on these people who are running for office, that's why we have to know what their record is. We have to try, because again, the past is a very good indication of future behavior. And it was clear. You could see the ability for negative 45 to turn this beautiful ham sandwich into a soup sandwich in a heartbeat. Anybody with any sense could have saw it. But America was so enraged after having 8 years of the leadership of the most powerful nation in the world in the hands of a black man that they said, damn it, we will take this racist, bigoted son of a gun and put him in power. And we got what we got. So if America cares about it, and that's the same way, if America cares about democracy, little Charlie Bird, if you really want to wear that American flag on your head, if you really care about this country, then you would have condemned, you never would have paid for them insurrectionists to go down there, and you certainly would be condemning them. But this is the result of America's bigotry gone wild and trust and believe from the grave. Brother Malcolm's words ring true now if they ever rang true. The chickens came home to roost.
That's right. That's right. Brother Mac, because actually, y'all replay that segment and y'all gonna see this is exactly why I didn't want to say it. Because I was like, I'm loath to actually bring Obama into this conversation because I knew it was going to go here. And I didn't get any of my work done that I'm supposed to get done. You got 5 more minutes to watch one more clip with me?
Oh, man, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And look, I love the discord of it. And this is, like it or not, baby, this is the way we chop it up. So I absolutely love it.
And you know what? And you know what's great about that conversation? The black community got a good divide on there. There's gonna be a healthy amount of people who with you 100%. There's gonna be a healthy amount of people who would be in terms of the nuances of more or less. But let me get to this. Go ahead.
But I'll say this quickly, Brother Ben. they can be on your side and my side of this particular issue. But one side that we should all agree on is that given the conditions of Black folks in this country, based on our health care, our economic situations, and the fact that we had these pre-existing conditions and we couldn't convince ourselves about this, because Lord knows that we know enough of us who have just sworn up and down, I'm not taking no vaccine, regardless of what the number said. So I guarantee you that whoever may agree or disagree with either of us, we all in agreement that we as a people, watching these numbers being reported the way they are, there is no reason why we should be getting that vaccination. None.
Absolutely. There should be no disagreement on that. Hell and high water, get vaccinated. David, run that clip, whichever clip I need to do before we get out of here. Let's run a clip, some clip. Let me do the job I'm supposed to do. I just knew something was going to come up. 22, run 22. I like 22. Let's go for it.
There you go.
In areas with substantial and high transmission, CDC recommends fully vaccinated people wear masks in public indoor settings to help prevent the spread of the Delta variant and protect others. This includes schools. CDC recommends that everyone in K-12 schools wear a mask indoors, including teachers, staff, students, and visitors, regardless of vaccination status. Children should return to full-time in-person learning in the fall with proper prevention strategies in place. Information on the Delta variant from several states and other countries indicates that in rare occasions, some vaccinated people infected with the Delta variant after vaccination may be contagious and spread the virus to others. Now, so for the amount of virus that's circulating in this country largely among unvaccinated people, the largest concern that I think we in public health and science are worried about is that virus and the potential mutations away we are from a very transmissible virus that has the potential to evade our vaccines in terms of how it protects us from severe disease and death. Right now, fortunately, we are not there. These vaccines operate really well in protecting us about forms of severe disease and death. But the big concern is that the next variant that might emerge, just a few mutations potentially away, could potentially evade our vaccines.
And the CDC is also going to recommend that children in schools all wear a mask, that everyone in schools wear a mask regardless of vaccination status. But there are at least 8 states that actually prohibit their districts from requiring a mask in schools. So what are parents who have children in those schools, in those states, supposed to do?
Well, look, Caitlin, I'm happy not to live in a state where that is the guidance. And this is new guidance that is being issued by the CDC today. I don't know how it will influence local elected officials in these states, but I certainly hope for the health and well-being of the next generation that they take a close look at the guidance. Today, they're changing their guidance. They're changing their advice to the American public, their public health advice, based on evolving data and an evolving historical guidance. That virus. That's exactly what they should be doing.
And what is your message to Americans who are feeling whiplash right now? Why should they trust the same group of health officials who just 2 months ago told them they don't have to wear a mask anymore?
Because our goal is to save their lives, and the responsibility of public health officials is to continue to provide updated guidance.
Vaccines work, which this sign says that they do. Then why do people who have had the vaccine need to now wear masks, the same as people who have not had it?
Because the public health leaders in our administration have made the determination based on data that is a way to make sure they're protected, their loved ones are protected, and that's an extra step given the transmissibility of the virus. We're hearing, and you all are reporting on stories on those not getting vaccinated, are saying from their
Bring us back. Brother Mac, there's a lot in there. I just want to let the people know that the second voice you heard, the woman's voice, was Jen Psaki, for those of you who are listening, the press secretary for Joe Biden. Go ahead, Brother Mac.
See, listen, here's what we have to understand about science, medicine. We seem to think that doctors know everything, that scientists know everything. The way that we get to these advancements is based on a scientific term called an hypothesis. And an hypothesis is a scientific, educated, and here's the key word, family, guess. It is a guess. And then what you do when you set that up, you got a set of variables. And in order to find the results, you change one variable at a time and you keep testing. So as this virus comes out, they understand the variables around this virus. But keep in mind, this virus is not static. It is very dynamic. It keeps changing. But the word that you heard for changing is mutating. See, once that virus is based on self-preservation as well. So when the virus finds something that would kill it, it is going to now react in a way to say, how could I now defend myself against that hypothesis, that vaccine that you just applied to the virus? It is going to continuously change. And so what they're saying is, look, as this new variant has evolved and we're beginning to study it, we're finding it is far more contagious than COVID-19 was. So now we are reinstating the fact that even though you were vaccinated, now wear the mask. So again, I'll say it again. You let experts do what experts do. I'm no pandemic expert. I'm no virologist. But what I know is this. If they tell me to wear the mask and I've been vaccinated and I have been vaccinated, guess what? I'm going to wear the damn mask. And as a matter of fact, when I get off this call with you, I'm going to call my ex-wife because our son is now going to football practice. And then they're not wearing masks there. And I got to say to her, look, Jamie-O, Jonathan is there at football practice and these kids ain't got this mask. What if that variant hits him, even though my son is fully vaccinated, but he's out there without a mask? That's a decision we got to make. And I know that my son loved being involved with this football program, but not at the cost of his life. That ain't going to happen. So me and mama going to have that conversation.
Bro, Mac, we are in some dangerous times.
Yes.
We are in some dangerous times, and the new you and I, nobody enjoys the nuances of conversations and debates more than you and I. But just listening to that Ducey, the reporter that asked Jen Psaki, they are so committed. He's the Fox News reporter. Right. They are so committed to the destruction of human life, and they have so much power. They have money, they have political power, they have media power, and to them, this is just a big game. Death to them is a big game while we're trying to protect our children. These are some dangerous times we live in.
And again, Brother Dixon, that question was an example of placing party over country, placing power over lives. It was an absolutely asinine question, but you knew where that question came from. That question is to continuously convince that if you are pro -45, I want you to be anti-vaccine, I want you to be anti-mask. And I guarantee you, that same little sister that asked that question, I guarantee you, she's vaccinated and she's wearing that mask. Guarantee it.
Oh. And we're gonna get out of here with this because the whole team got to get out of here at this point. You just use the survival instinct of that virus. Mm-hmm. The way these Republicans are playing around, that survival instinct of that virus is going to do to y'all demographics. The numbers, y'all keep playing around, and y'all going to find out very quickly what evolution really does to people who don't have the instinct of survival.
Got it. Like it or not.
Like it or not. Hey, bro, Mac, everybody out of here. This is what we do when we have an argument. We're going to stay until we agree.
Till we find common ground.
Till we found common ground so that we can say we dogpiled on the other people more than we dogpiled on each other. Hey, bro, Mac, I'll talk to you in a few minutes. I'll probably talk to you in a few minutes. Everybody else, hey, we love y'all. We appreciate y'all. One quick song. Dwayne, it's in your hands. We'll see everybody. I won't be here tomorrow because I'm on the road. I'm going to Cleveland, Ohio. I'm going to be a part of supporting soon-to-be Congresswoman Nina Turner. And so I'll be broadcasting live from Ohio on Friday, and I'll give you a lineup of who all's going to be there, but it should be a pretty exciting show. So, Brother Mac, definitely need you to be here tomorrow and help the team.
And Brother Ben, let me say this. When the sister that was representing Nina Brown came on your show, I made a pledge to her. And so you'll be able to verify from Nina Turner that before that show ended, that $2,600, the maximum that I could have pledged, I sent that to Sister Turner.
That's it.
So wish our sister all the best. And my brother, you be safe when you're on your travels.
Will do. I got a screenshot of that donation, so I'll be sure to share it with her. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Try to explain the way I feel.